Star Trek Adventures.
Yeah.
Hello to you too.
Sup. Overly cool response. Let's go.
Overly cool response. We have me, who is MS. We have Alice.
I is
We have Ips,
Ips is here, yes. Hi.
the resident Slav, and Harp.
Hey.
Let's get back into this, shall we? First of all, we did this after the session last time, but we rolled what is essentially a reputation, and that is typically dictated by what you did in the episodes. So, to summarize, what did everyone get for their reputations? Did it increase? Did it decrease?
1 sec.
Mine decreased because I tried to start a time paradox, and my character had a reprimand from Captain Kaval.
You broke the temporal prime directive, not literally, but in principle.
In principle, yep. Worth it.
And mine didn't change whatsoever because I didn't do much.
Mine improved because I managed to stay completely straight and narrow throughout that entire situation and get everyone out alive, which is nice.
Okay, that's good. So, to set up the scene, first of all, it's about a week later, and it would be Stardate. Let me get the Stardate for you. I did post it. Stardate 48239, and I would say some of you could be on a break from a duty shift, or simply enjoying yourself with some lunch. So what are your characters doing at this time?
If I know my captain, she'd be having a meal, probably at whatever the... What is the name of the bar on our ship? Has it got a specific name, like the like bar and dining area?
Not particularly. It's not a 10 forward from a TNG, but you could...
Let's just call it Cantina.
Yeah, you're risking copyright infringement there, I'm afraid.
Yeah, we can't have any kind of music for too long.
Let's
Otherwise,
just call it a sloppy
copyright
joes.
infringement by Disney.
Yeah.
They love copyright infringements.
Okay, well, whatever it is called, Kaval would almost certainly be there eating quite a bit, because when you have 2 stomachs to fill, you know.
I thought horses had more than 2.
Yeah.
Am I the only one that can hear you breaking up and stuff?
I think that probably is your connection, because I'm hearing everyone else absolutely.
Everyone else is coming clear.
Okay, let me be right back.
Okie dokie Loki.
Okay, so you'd be eating quite a bit.
I'm back.
Welcome back. And what is everyone else doing?
This presumably happens how many days after the event?
It's about a week.
About a week. My character would still be reliving the reprimand from the captain. However, he doesn't brood. He immediately goes over and tries to mingle with the people in the food establishment place. The food serving area.
The ET food area.
The thing where you put the fork in your mouth.
Can we just call it the canteen? It's just a canteen.
Is your thing?
And not a cantina, canteen. Like, you know, like a thingy. Like a school canteen. Because we're British. Yes. And he's going to try and see if he can see either the captain or the other lieutenant, or the lieutenant. What's his name? Not the CO? No. Exo. That's it.
Solek.
Solek. Yes, he's going to see if he can see Solek.
He would probably be sitting by himself, enjoying a highly nutritious yet bland-tasting meal.
Oh, it's got to be pluming soup.
That.
Yeah, the Vulcans love that shit.
Whereas in the comparison, Emund is going to have a something along the lines of a very spicy chili con carne. Possibly just chili con carne, but extra spicy. And he would sit down in front of Xoll, and he would be drinking his coffee a little bit, sort of cringing at the taste, but quietly inside of his mind he would be reminding himself that he's got a long shift ahead and he's going to need to stay awake.
I'd probably be absolutely destroying about 2 pounds of deep fried Cardassian food right now.
I guess the Cardassians are good at one thing. That's food.
Food is so good, man. As long as it's not those gruesome eggs. But the actual cooked stuff is great. I have the Star Trek cookbook.
So he's going to look at Xoll. He's going to try and read him, using his empath abilities.
We have a really good stew recipe
target.
that's supposedly Star Trek.
Okay, so we'll need to make that into a roll. So
we call it Klingon stew, and it's super good.
anything with lots of meat in is good.
Yeah, it's got spiced meats, and it's so good.
This episode is sponsored by Keto. No, it's not.
Nope.
Let's continue.
Yeah.
So
Now-
you'll probably want to do a check with that. Do you remember what check to use for your empath?
That is a good point. Let me just quickly check my book.
Empath.
Star Trek.
Let's say control. You need some variety of control in this.
Betazoid. Human. The
It doesn't-
Nobulan.
It doesn't say anything specific. It says it may require.
It may
a test.
require effort, yeah.
So it would be control and. What
So I guess
discipline?
it is essentially trying to like it is essentially trying to more like quiet down the other people's emotions and feelings and thoughts.
Okay.
It's just trying to focus on him, so I guess it is control. Because if he was in a room with him alone, it would be insight. But because he's trying to like thin out the people, sort of the thoughts of other people around him, and focus on him, he's going to use control.
Okay.
Discipline? I wouldn't say. Maybe it's like a security thing. Is there a way of using just the attribute along with?
No.
You could tie it to security. It's a bit of a trying to do it sneakily.
Yeah, he's trying to read him in terms of like what kind of whether he's like he's trying to feel what he's thinking, like have a feel of what he's thinking about right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say
So-
it's security.
20, and it's oh yeah, it's just 2d20, and that's under 13. Because I got decent security.
Certainly that's good. It's about lunchtime-ish, so be quite crowded. So I won't give you as a basic task. So I'll say you would have accomplished it with the point of momentum generated,
Hey,
as you have succeeded at said task. So I'll just drag one out here.
and
Everyone
reading
see.
a reading of a Vulcan is pretty difficult as it is.
Move it up, it's quite.
Well, he's not really sort of. It's more sort of an emotional state, but you could probably just kind of feel his lack of emotion. But obviously Vulcans do control their own emotions.
So you probably be able to sense whatever it is the Vulcan is restraining currently.
Yeah, and it seems to be mostly. It's a little bit of frustration. Like obviously someone's not performed to his standards today.
This is where I was worried it's going to be like all the bad things like rage, lust, hate, and it's just like, oh no. Feel
The trick
hate.
about being a
Oh
Vulcan,
no, a stomato.
yeah, you aren't like perpetually holding back a damned up torrent of unbelievable amounts of emotion, because that would overwhelm even a Vulcan. The trick is they control their emotions and then release them from themselves, often in private through meditation and such.
Mm-hmm.
That is correct.
So he would obviously have spent a little bit of moment just to read him, and then he would take a bite of his food, and then he would then ask him, "So, did you get onto this ship through recommendation, or was it just you being signed up through random means?"
Okay, that's that is a quite interesting question, and I guess I'll give it to slightly to Hart for this one. Like, why would you need a logical CO? Like, I mean,
Honestly, Kaval is somewhat aware that her people tend to be more creative thinkers. It's a fact that Chironians tend towards the arts more than science, and they also quite religious rather than scientific. And as a result, a lot of their technology that they have currently has been brokered or traded for, but with other races, and has been given to them after they joined the Federation. As a result, she thought she needed that sort of like someone she could relate to on a spiritual level, but at the same time someone who's quite logical to
It was the opposite of
coil towards her creativity.
Yeah, to compensate.
Yeah.
yeah. What do you do with someone whose species have been known who can be irrational and impulsive? You get a strong sort of counterbalance to it.
Yeah, indeed. I wouldn't necessarily say they're as brash as some of the famous humans like Kirk, but they certainly tend to be very creative, and they don't tend to think things in very like logical and straightforward terms. They often overthink stuff and get a bit creative.
So more likely to make a conspiracy than a reasoned point.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, they can tend to be quite trusting, so it would be less along the lines of conspiracies and paranoia, and more just assuming there's more to a situation than there actually is.
Outlandish theories.
Yeah, outlandish theories and stuff. They tend
Overthinking things.
Yeah. But they tend to come up with quite creative solutions to problems as well.
So what does Xoll actually look like?
Well, he's reasonably tall. He's got he's fair skinned.
He's a Vulcan-shaped Vulcan.
He carries himself very rigidly. You have heard some of the much lower officers or crewmen say that he seems to walk with a bit of a stick up his ass. Although that's more sort of, don't let him know that I said this.
Although that's not what I was asking. I was asking, is he cute though?
Is he what?
Is he cute though? What kind of hair color and eye color does he have?
He does have more of a sort of dull brown eye color, as well as just sort of the very bowl-shaped like hair that Vulcans tend to enjoy having.
So is he going to answer my question about whether he was chosen through recommendation random?
Apologies. Sorry about that. He simply looks up from his food and he says, I was chosen because my service profile indicates that I would be the most effective to be assigned to this ship.
I mean, I still don't get. I still don't get why I was chosen for this specific ship. I mean, I'm honored and everything, and then he starts trailing off. He starts telling a bit of his story about himself as to how he got through the Starfleet Academy, like Starfleet Academy and stuff. And then he's just going to say then, but then I guess I'm handling the whole medical business pretty well. And then he trails off on another little story of how the new staff that he's working with ended up mixing up a medical term with a medical term, and then and he basically just babbles for the next 10 minutes. He doesn't even eat his food. He just talks, and then he ends it with, "But how was your day, Lieutenant?"
He has a little bit of his soup, and he says, "Unsatisfactory for the most part.
Oh, how come?
Crewman Uzok decided it was best to play a prank today. Prank that may have endangered some of his fellow crewmates."
I'm going to roll to see if I can overhear this. Although, actually, that being said, Solek probably would have filed a report to me about this, wouldn't he? So,
Yes,
Carry
a very
on.
well-cited report.
yeah, so carry on.
With diagrams.
Any idea as to why and on whom he committed the prank?
He says, "This is a little above your station, Lieutenant. Why are you so curious?"
Well, I just feel like if I get to know the crew a little bit better, it will be easier for me to provide bedside manner. If you get the idea of what I mean. I'm not exactly the best at commanding and leadership things, but I like to get to know my people a little bit, maybe solve problems where I can. Hopefully understand as to why that person did a prank on someone else. Maybe it can be resolved.
An admirable quality. However, I would recommend speaking to these individuals you wish to get to know. I, however, prefer to spend my meal in solitude. Starts going back to his soup.
Basically, go away.
It is basically go away.
It's polite Vulcan for saying, "I'm a loner. I don't care."
But this is the thing. This is what Emund is gonna do. He's going to chuckle to himself, and he's going to continue eating the food quietly with him and just observe him.
Are you going to be his Neelix?
Yes.
I was about to say, this is, I'm getting some Voyager flashbacks here. I mean, not the bad kind of Voyager, like some bad episodes, but the good kind. Kind of when I watch Star Trek.
The good stuff.
The good stuff.
He's just going to observe him eat his food quietly, and when he's done, when they're done, both of them, like if he's done before him, because I presume he is, he's going to finish his food and still just like sit there and wait for him to finish.
Okay.
And then,
But before we continue with that, we need to know what Alice is doing.
yep.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
So, I'd be taking a breather after doing a bit of training. So,
say in the holodeck?
yeah. I would be like, have just walked out of the holodeck, drinking some water out of a bottle. You know,
Okay.
in kind of workout clothing.
What kind of holodeck program were you running? Was it like you basically summoned up a gym, or was it a situation?
No, it's just a gym for this time. Just to, get a bit of warm up. Basically, she would probably do some proper exercise in a minute, but, just she's having a break after doing some warming up.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's going to do some actual exercise. So she'll probably do a simulation after having a break.
Mm-hmm.
That's my thought.
Sounds good.
So yeah. She would probably have a bit of a walk along and then go and quickly check up on the other security staff before heading back.
They'd be making their rounds, and they'd say they'd probably comment on the bit of a security situation earlier, but Commander Solek took care of it. He was covering your duties while this was taking place.
I'd ask for a detailed report on that.
There is already one filed, and it is very detailed.
Yeah, is this the same report that I would have gotten from him?
Same report.
Okay,
Probably
yeah.
might have a few additional notes for
Yeah.
you being
In
like
which case,
captain.
Can you bring us up to speed on what that report is? Because I'd quite like to know.
There was mainly just some fooling around with EPS conduits to try and spook someone.
No one was actually hurt though, because I assume
no one was actually hurt.
have heard about it. So
It was just a case of negligence and a bit of unprofessionalism, which Solek is very unhappy about. Well, as unhappy as he can be being a Vulcan.
But yeah, what I wanted to say about Solek is that once he's finished eating, once both of them are finished eating, he would just say thank you for like spending the time with me, and then he would like walk off. That's all I wanted to say.
He will comment.
And
Someone is doing something on the thing. He would comment that not time spent willingly together. Yes, he could have moved, but
like he would just be like start his point and then just like forget about it and walk off.
you say your usual station is at the bridge.
Yes, normally, unless I'm needed in the medical bay.
The simple fact is, unless people are needed in their respective departments, I would have every player character on the bridge anyway. It's a little bit metagamey, but it makes the game more fun.
Yeah, considering we've only got 2 players, you don't want me to have a conversation with myself.
Mm-hmm.
Were you asking that question out of character or in character?
Out of character.
Yeah. The reason why he would have actually be glad that he's staying at the bridge was the fact that things kind of exploded last time,
Like
and the person
hand.
got hurt. Yeah, he likes to be on hand with a med pack this time. And a few small tools with him at on hand.
Yeah. There's like, if I remember correctly, on the bridge there's medical. It's like under some of the chairs.
Yeah, most likely. Alice, will you be heading to the bridge once you've probably taken a sonic shower and and get changed into your duty uniform? Okay then. With those 2 sorted. Captain.
Okay,
you would probably be perusing a pad, most likely to do with a species that you are heading towards their cluster, their small cluster of planets, to make contact with on behalf of the Federation.
Well, is this considered? Okay? So Emund Xoll would already be excited about this and look out for any reports of getting near the planets, or rather the system. And he would be already prepping his speech if it's an intelligent species.
It is warp capable. They're known as the Extrarame, and they seem to bear some canine traits and some feline traits. They're mostly furred as well. And you've been reading over the reports, and they have what is known as a sort of culture based on recompense, if you will.
I see. So like,
and
getting
slights
back.
Slights against a person or people is paid back, and also often quite excessively.
Okay.
See.
So
Okay.
blind revenge.
Not blind revenge.
Oh, no, not blind, but
Excessive revenge.
over the top.
I think
Yes.
I think I understand the logic of such a society, but
Yes, like
a model that's open to abuse.
any sort of it is customary for any downtrodden group, perceived or otherwise, to receive special assistance and compensation for what they've been through.
Okay, and how are these people particularly relevant at the moment?
They've been wishing to make contact with the Federation, and
We've been assigned to do such.
yes, they don't really know too much about the Federation. They've had some prior dealings with advanced Cardassian scouts, but they haven't really. Yeah, they're not buying with the Cardassians are selling.
Right.
Do we
Okay.
have any information on them ourselves?
Oh, by the way, just one wanted to interrupt quickly. Harp, could you put some music on?
Oh yeah.
Just because the
Probably
silence for
somewhere.
me is a little bit
It's okay. I was just
off.
I had a playlist on, but okay.
It's fine. I don't tend to listen to music when I'm running because it just tends to interfere with the brainwave.
So
If I
It's
could
fine.
have the link to that R20 or the music thing, then that'd be cool.
Yeah, just pass some links out between yourselves.
Thanks.
get this to be
yeah.
fairly quiet, otherwise it will get a bit distracting.
As I said, do we have any like information on them like written up, such as their fighting styles or weapon capabilities? Anything I should know about?
Quite unknown for the most part, like in terms of like any kind of ground combat. Their ships aren't as good as Federation ships, but they do maintain a somewhat decent military strength.
I assume their weapons technology is either going to be phaser based or disruptor based.
It's phase based.
Okay, right. That is nice to know.
That goes straight over my head.
Basically, like, just to boil it down for you and also anyone in the audience who isn't entirely aware, phasers are the standard weapon systems used by the Federation, which are also useful as tools at the same time.
So they're
And
like
they
the
work by
lasers.
projecting
Set
phase.
phases to stun and that lot.
Whereas disruptors are essentially disintegrator beams. They're generally more powerful, but they don't have the same utility, and they tend to be green in color rather than orange or blue.
Okay, so that's
Yep.
what the Borg use a lot, is it?
I think the Borg either use disruptors or plasma. I know the Klingons use disruptors though. And
They're big on their disruptor tech.
Yeah.
Because they don't fuck around. They just destroy stuff.
If I remember correctly, are actually outlawed within the Federation. There are certainly some kinds of disruptors which are highly illegal, especially ones that act more slowly than normal. Like you can get special disruptors which slowly disintegrate targets in the most painful way possible.
Oh,
Yeah, they're
jeez.
not exactly
Yeah.
the most kind of weapons. I doubt there's a stun setting.
You can get stun-based disruptors, but they stun people through like pure pain induction and like essentially like disintegration of outer tissue rather than just simply like overloading the nervous system.
Yeah, they do kind of. The more powerful
Okay.
versions can just disintegrate people, but it's a lot quicker of an affair.
Yes.
This to the audience. So this is what two Star Trek techie nerds sound like.
Yeah.
Now let's continue with the story.
Oh, also, quick note. My internet's messing around today, so if anything goes wrong, I'll text one of you.
Okay.
Certainly.
It's just we need to get into contact with our thing. But yeah.
Yep.
I'll be reading up on them.
Okay. You'll be making contact with one of the primary leaders, Exar Junbe'ar.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be a mouthful to say.
Yeah. Feel free to type this stuff out for us just as a point of reference.
Certainly, I'll put in what it is. This. There we go, Junbe'ar.
John Bear.
Junbe'ar.
Yeah. Right. Okay then. So he's our contact. I take it we're going to be meeting them on their planet's surface, right? Or is this an in-space thing?
You can arrange however the first contact goes as you wish. You could opt to beam down and receive them, or you could
I think our
arrange
first
for
communication should be over comms.
Well, yeah,
rather than...
Main
we'll
view
establish
screen?
contact with them through traditional means. But I mean, what I will attempt to do is ask them if we can have permission to beam down to their planet's surface once we've made verbal contact.
Of
So you
course.
can meet in person.
We don't necessarily have to beam
If they're
down.
If they're cagey about that, then we might meet them in space instead, like ship to ship. It depends on what.
Yeah,
Ship to
because-
ship sounds like a better idea.
Because I have a feeling that if we over step our boundaries, if we, for example, beam down without their strict permission,
Oh yeah,
They'll
that could end
invade
up
our
being a
ship.
massive- It could be a massive diplomatic incident. That's why we're going to have to be very careful of that. But Nonetheless, I'm going to tell the con to put us in a max cruising speed and take us to their planet.
Okay then.
While we're en route, I want to check any kind of astrometrics data we have for their planet itself, like what kind of conditions it has, the gravity relative to Earth, stuff like that.
Gravity is approximate to Earth, Class M planet, and they do have a lot of... there seems to be elements of high pollution in the atmosphere, so they haven't created any kind of technology. Well, they've recently come out of a more, shall we say, by this point...
Of an industrial revolution.
It's about a few hundred years from it.
Okay, right. They come far in a short amount of time, but they clearly still have somewhere to go. All right, Will. Yeah, I think we're ready. When we close within hailing distance, we'll attempt to contact any kind of embassy or similar building they have on the planet. They must have done that to contact other people in the first place for us to even know that they wanted to talk to us. So, yeah.
So, so we're gonna contact them on. How are we gonna contact them again?
Communications comms.
But are they? Is there a specific ship we're meant to contact?
When you will pull into orbit, you will find that you'll be hailed when you start approaching.
Now, shall we put that on the screen?
I'll take the customary position in front of the view screen. In a neutral stand.
Shortly after, your communication officer reports, "We are being hailed, Captain."
On screen.
And it's put on screen. You see what seems to be a rather lavishly dressed. Well, I'd say lavishly as in very ornate.
Opulent.
Opulent.
Yeah.
That's it. Opulent is the word. With a headdress and a sort of like a robe, like a very thick sort of like amount of robe. Imagine like a toga, except there's like way more layers. Sort of like covers the entire body. And it is an albino female of the species, female exterami. And the floor is yours.
Right. I am Captain Kaval of the USS Odyssey, and I am here to represent the Federation and Starfleet in making first contact with your species.
She replies, "The extra army are welcome to have you here."
Excellent. So, you wish to make contact with us, and I am more than happy to pay a visit to your world if you'd like to meet in person, but the details are entirely up to you.
She nods and says, we will be honoured to treat with new friends and new guests to our world."
Okay, it is standard procedure among Starfleet to bring an away team on all diplomatic missions, consisting of my most qualified and most trustworthy officers. I assume that is okay with you?
Whatever retinue you wish to bring, so long as they abide by our laws and customs, will be given fair treatment, for they do not have a standing in our society at the moment.
Cool. I believe I've been appraised on the core principles of your society, though if there are any laws you feel may be particularly important in this, our first contact, please appraise me of them, and we will make sure to abide by them when we reach the surface.
We will treat you with the immunity we have for diplomats. Your transgressions of social norms will be overlooked.
Of course, although I would ask politely that you keep us appraised of any transgressions we do perform so you can avoid doing them in the future.
We will prepare a meeting for you when you reach the planet, and we will discuss matters further on joining your federation.
Excellent. Believe me, my species only recently joined the Federation and they've not regretted it once. Anyway, can you provide the coordinates for us to arrive, and we'll be with you shortly.
Certainly, we will transmit all the relevant details for you to review for bringing your retinue down with you.
Excellent. I look forward to talking with you.
As to you, Captain.
I will gesture to comms officer to cut the comms.
The comms are cut.
And then I look around to the bridge team and go, well, this is looking good so far.
I would be... because I need to stop myself from saying Emund would do this, Emund would do this, because I'm meant to play the character, so...
Yeah.
I'm going to rub my chin a little bit, and I'm going to look at the captain and try to figure out... He's going to think about something, and he's going to ask, when they said you, did they mean you, Captain? Or you and the group? And I'm going to ask if I can make a check of that.
I will say that when they were discussing the whole thing about transporters, like, she would have, like, gone a lot more tense in her, like, posture. Yeah.
I am going to roll to see if I can notice that. So that, in my case, would be insight, and I believe command would be the right relevant discipline in this situation.
Because I believe that
Yes.
you would have gone in her, like, a report about a transporter incident.
Yeah, so I might be better able to pick up on this. So
Yeah.
20, and I'm trying to roll under 15.
I mean, it's a standard procedure, so you might be able to be like, you know what?
Yep, 2
Direct
success.
order.
Yeah.
I won't like it, but whatever. But I mean, if certainly there was issues with power and you're trying to use the transporter, or there was something going wrong, you'd probably be a lot more thingy about it.
I'll squint a bit at the lieutenant and then say to her,
It's suggestion.
while we're on our way down, would you mind, Lieutenant Phelps, just talking to me privately as we head down towards the transporter room?
Of course, Captain.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Everyone else, I will need Emund, Solek. I think I think 4 of us should be enough. Can I trust the rest of you to hold things down here?
He's going
Say again?
to he's going to look like he needs to speak to the captain again, because he...
I basically just asked the other officers on the bridge if they're okay holding things down while we perform this mission.
Okay. So let's just go over who you're taking in. You're taking obviously the 2 other players in this, and who's your 4th guy?
Solek.
Okay, Solek.
I feel like he'd be very useful on diplomacy.
But
The commander says to an Andorian woman, Lieutenant Commander, you will have the bridge for this. I'll brief you on what to do.
But
Continue.
he's going to look at the captain and say, Captain, did you? He's going to again. I'm asking the GM if I can have a check to see when they were talking about we will ignore the transgressions that you do. Did they mean just the captain or us as the team as well?
Didn't put any particular emphasis on the you. It was just more of a sort of you as in the plural you.
Plural you. Okay.
Yeah.
So he's going to just dismiss that thought and nod to the captain that he's ready. That I'm ready. God damn it.
Yeah.
It's okay. You'll get used to it.
It may have been how I said it when I was doing the character.
When we're en route, I'm going to briefly sort of stop Phelps and say to her, like, listen, Lieutenant, I saw the look on your face when I mentioned transporting, and I understand that you've had a past that's involved a transporter accident. I don't understand the details of this. I'm not even sure if you do. But
Not entirely.
it's a reality of life in Starfleet that you will often find yourself having to transport to different locations.
Understand that.
If it puts your mind any more at ease, this is a different model of ship with an updated model of transporter, considering how long ago your incident occurred. And I can only say that the probability of such an accident happening again is astronomically low.
Of course.
We're more likely to be killed by the Cardassians within an hour's time than that is to happen. And I don't think the Cardassians are going to give us any trouble.
Apologise for if I worried you.
I fully understand. All I'm doing is trying to set your mind at ease. Anyway,
Thank you.
we should get moving.
Bloody Cardies.
Right, so after the little conversation about spoonheads, I'm going to take her down to the transporter room. And then the group will assemble and make ready to transport.
Okay, so you know what the standard equipment is for an away team?
I believe so. It consists of the standard uniform. We each equipped with a phaser if we weren't already, but we're all bridge crew, so we get one anyway.
Tricorder?
Medical officer always... Yeah, we have tricorders. Medical officer will always have a medical tricorder and full medical kit, but he carries that around anyway, so I think he's good on that respect. And this isn't one where we're expecting a fight, so we're not like legally sanctioned to bring any bigger weapons. Not that I would want to. It's a diplomatic mission. We don't want to give them the wrong idea.
Of course, of course. The coordinates you're given, the transporter officer like keys in the coordinates to where you're going to beam down to, as you're all waiting in the transporter room.
Yeah. I'll do something perhaps a little unprofessional, but I'll try and do it without Solek noticing. Is while we're waiting on the transporter pad, I'll reach over and give Lieutenant Phelps his hand a little squeeze and give her a smile.
Oh no, that's adorable.
I'm just going to just look outside, or rather look at any spot in the ship and just try to think about, of all the horrible things that can happen when we're trying to make contact with a possibly warlike culture.
Yeah. She would remain pretty straight-faced as they get onto the transporters.
Whoever wishes to say the word, you may say it.
Ensign, energize.
Transporter beam energizes. You beam down to what appears to, well, you beam down onto a landing pad, of all things. There seems to be a few, seems to be a delegation of damn, they're complicated names. Extra army.
Yes.
Just waiting for you. There seems to be a few, like, well, you would probably class them as soldiers, but they seem to be just security. Seem to be waiting there, and they seem somewhat surprised by the fact you just materialized down there. They thought you were taking a shuttle. It gives you a good chance to view their city. It seems to be closer to. It seems to be a heavily urbanized area that you've transported into. There's quite a few. There's a few sort of hover vehicles going around, as in like they use propulsion. They're air vehicles, but mostly a lot of the time seems to be a bit of a sprawl going on down where the streets are. There are some parts of the city that, from what you can see, look a bit unsightly. There seems to be a bit of a slum area in the distance, a reasonably large one at that. But a lot of the other areas seem a lot more built up, a lot more modern, a lot more cleaner, but not entirely spotless. Imagine you going to... I'd say it'd have the aridness of and the sort of dirt residue that you typically find in a more arid country. If you was to compare it to Earth, a lot of buildings would be sort of white, but the colour would have faded a bit. Be a bit of dust here and there, but overall it's not too bad looking.
Okay. Well, I will covertly say under my breath to Emund, make sure to use your tricorder and check atmospheric readings. But after doing that, I will then perform a traditional greeting of my people, both hands to my chest, and do a sort of four-legged curtsy, and say to them, "We have arrived on your wonderful planet."
One of the delegation steps forward and says, let me just find the name. Says, he introduces himself. He says, "I am Rakim," and then he starts listing off some weird, like, something like you wouldn't really expect. He starts listing off like his family. He starts listing off. Listing off like how his family was poor and stuff like that, and how long they've been poor, and like certain people in his family who were killed by a certain regime, and then he just says, he says to you, but someone else stops him and says, they don't know of the proper system of greetings, and then he says, I understand. I apologize profusely. He seems to just like bow his head very lowly.
Yeah. I will tell him that his apology is accepted, and that honestly, these things are natural. They happen. Give me 1 second.
You were saying?
He said he'll be a second.
Yeah.
I would be stood in the background, just keeping an eye on everyone.
Is that it?
Basically just keep, making sure that there aren't any security issues.
You're well. There seems to be none currently. However, you may ask questions. I mean, I assume your captain allows you to speak somewhat freely.
Of course, yeah. Although I will say to him that I completely accept his apology, and these things are natural. They happen all the time during first contact, and that hopefully by the time we leave here, we'll be all too familiar with your traditional method of greeting.
He says, I understand. I will lead you to the esteemed exarch's domicile, and then you're led along with many others. You notice that their technology seems a good century or two behind in terms of like what they can do, and some Regulus and some simple scans show that there's a high amount of pollution in the atmosphere.
Nothing that will be particularly dangerous to us for a short visit, I assume.
No, it's just it's pollution on the grade of industrial pollution in like a city centre of a heavily.
Something that's fairly common on Earth, in the 21st century, but is almost unheard of on Earth by this point.
The 20th and I believe the 19th.
Yeah. Okay.
It's basically China there.
Yeah, China's
the
pretty
smog.
Smoggy. It is pretty smoggy.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, if Emund or
Phelps I'm going to use my tricorder immediately to scan the air for quantities of gases.
Yeah, you pick up higher amounts of CO2, and you pick up some other gases like that are often byproducts from industrial processes of manufacture. They don't have replicators, obviously. And as you're being led through, you're asked, if I may ask, how are you able to get to the planet such as this? The one we would have assumed you would have had to take a shuttle down.
in some situations we would have. However, the Federation has for quite some time had access to a technology which allows us to transport ourselves near instantaneously via matter-to-energy conversion. It is a technology that your people may one day have if you cooperate with the Federation. You could consider it a potential perk of joining us. However, I would recommend that any alliance we do have is one born of mutual cooperation rather than a desire for one another's technology.
They nod and say, we understand how important it is to give technology to those who need it, and I hope you can see the same sort of principles in how we operate, as it will improve quality of life. And
of course, yes. I can guarantee that one of the first technologies we would share with you is a means to help improve the way of life for all the people who live on your planet, as far as the environment goes. Understand that any technological base often requires an industrial phase that can produce a lot of pollution, but we've gotten to the point now where we're able to deal with this pollution and prevent it from occurring in the first place. And I'm sure we wouldn't delay at all in sharing such technology with you.
Yes, it is unfortunate. The previous generation spoiled the environment, and well, we are to clean up what it is. But we would appreciate any sort of assistance in these matters.
Of course.
Does anything else have any other questions?
I would look at them and I would try to see what their attitudes are like right now.
Yeah, as you notice, when you're like passing several individuals, you notice that some often more behave in a more subservient manner, as in like to one of higher authority. They must constantly. They seem agreeful. They seem to what's the phrase?
Prostrate themselves?
Prostrate themselves to these authority figures.
He would approach one of the representatives at the side, if possible, and just asks. So, or rather, I would ask. I'm sorry if I'm being rude, but is it in your culture to have this sort of hierarchy?
He says, yes, it has. We found it necessary in order to protect social order. Before the change came, and before we established, well, before the Justicars came to power, it was chaos. Injustices were being committed daily, and those who decided to give the power back to those who never had it nor never would.
I would sort of rub my chin a little bit and nod, and I would say that you see, it is similar, I suppose, to how this team, how our ship works, is that we have a hierarchy of our own in the Federation, and it all depends on ranks, and it is there to keep not only order but to allow for faster decision making processes.
Yes. Yes, we seem to have much in common then.
And he would sort of smile and nod along. However, on the inside, he's already worrying that this society is probably a little bit too much into punishment for breaking that hierarchy.
As you are let into the sort of a meeting room where there is it's a rather elaborate thing. You know, there's all kinds of decorations, banners, as well as expensive looking decorations, such as, you know, like cups and plates on the table. You know, it seems like a very well-off dining room with a single main chair at the forefront. There seems to be some staff like moving like chairs around, if that makes sense. They seem to be like they were moving a much nicer chair to right near the head chair, which the Exarch is sitting, whilst they're moving. There seems to be like a gradient of chairs. Some chairs are very nice, while some are more plain. While some seem more plain and undecorated.
So the more higher up on the hierarchy you are, the better you have, the better you're off, basically.
Yep.
And it's represented by that. Okay, so it's not.
Your directed chairs. Each one is sort of representative of your station. Of course, Captain Kaval can't really sit on the chair too well.
I will still appreciate the gesture they've made, and I will stand sort of beside the chair.
You asked if you wish for a cushion.
I responded, the cushion would be absolutely fantastic, and I apologise for leaving you on such short notice of my unique anatomical qualities.
I would sort of half sort of hide my face and chuckle under my breath as I imagine the captain sitting down on the chair, plopping down.
The XR looks kind of towards you and says, like, it is our fault entirely. We apologise. Just by bowing the head, keeping low. Had we not known and not established proper greeting protocols, we may have been able to accommodate you.
Your apology is accepted, but ultimately, the place at which I sit does not, like, it's not an issue that pains me too greatly, I'm afraid. You needn't worry.
Both of the more junior senior officers get rather meh chairs, and Xoll gets a much nicer one.
Mm-hmm.
Despite the fact he seems a little, like, weirded out by it, he's like, you can tell he's thinking to himself, and just any chair would suffice.
I would sit down and stay quiet, basically.
I'm curious to see where this is going to go, so I'll just sort of keep on smiling and waiting to be addressed.
I would keep on making sure that I would keep on trying to read these people, because I can take in their behavior, like I can take in their emotions, and they affect me too. So I'm going to be very polite and sort of subservient and try to not look anyone in the eye too much, while at the same time trying to monitor everyone quietly.
I suppose as I'll ask you for another security and what other stats?
I'm keeping an eye on their body language to see if it changes at any point. Basically, making sure that they're not doing anything.
Sorry, I had to rejoin
Insight.
I had to rejoin the Roll20 because it didn't let me type.
Is that okay if I roll that too?
I suggest that Alice
Sandal.
rolls hers. I suggest Alice rolls hers, and then I roll an assist.
Okay.
Because my one is less important, whereas hers is more.
Could you go through what you said again?
Oh my god, I still can't type.
Okay, can I roll to basically like keep an eye on everyone and basically read their body language in case their mood changes or if anything happens?
Certainly, you can.
If you could just give me a second for me, because I need to get back into Roll20 because it's not letting me type.
Yeah, it'd probably just be a security and insight, Alice.
Okay. I believe
There
that
we
X
go.
wanted to help out with it.
You did.
Yes.
My insight is 9 and my security is 3.
Would you like to add any bonus dice through threat or momentum?
I would like to add on to that.
Threat?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll give you a threat counter.
Okay, so I'm assisting, yeah?
Mhm.
And it's a 1d20 of what skill and vote thingy?
Control and... No, not control. What was I saying? It was insight and security.
Would the empathy focus help?
Yes.
So how do focuses work again?
Focuses allow you to do something important. I think I remember now. Any success generated from a focus doubles the result.
Mhm.
Okay.
So if you get 2 successes, you get 4.
I think I actually rolled on point. Hold on. When the roll is on fleek. Give me a second.
13.
Insight. It's security, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
It's exactly.
Okay, so my security is 3. How many dice should I be rolling?
Security's a 3. Well, normally you roll 2, but you added a point to the threat pool, so you get 3 dice. Your security's 3, right?
My insight is 9.
Okay, add those 2 numbers together.
So that is 12.
Roll your 2d20. I mean 3d20.
Does she get anything from my sister? Oh,
Okay, yes, that just adds on to it. So
sweet.
you get...
It's like five successes.
You get 11,
And you got-
9, and 2.
Mhm.
So that's a very strong success.
Yeet.
You do detect quite a bit of animosity in the room. Not to you personally, but you can feel a lot of animosity is being generated at not just from the Exarch, from the other diplomats, the other security, towards the steward who was organizing it. Who was organizing? How like not knowing this crucial detail. Messing it up. How could you? We look like buffoons.
I see. Interesting.
Oh no, we need to punish him.
Well, we might be able to get away with like, sort of like saying it's trying to sort of take the reins, saying like, oh, it's our duty to punish him, and then letting him off with just like a slap on the wrist.
He could just.
But-
I thought it would have been more a just saying like, you know what, it was our fault for not saying.
I suppose we could. I mean, like, they insisted it was their fault, and I don't necessarily want to start an argument with them. But this is the thing with diplomacy; it's always complicated.
Do you do you potentially harm your diplomatic relations by maybe causing an argument, or do you let it slide and watch someone get ostracized?
Well, I assume Phelps would have.
Yeah, I would try and find a way of informing the captain about that.
Yeah, you can just talk to him quietly.
Yeah. I'd kind of lean over and kind of whisper it to you.
Mm-hmm. And I'll ask her in response, like, how severe do you think it is? Do you think they're like, this guy might actually suffer some kind of like horrendous punishment?
This is where I chime in and say they all pretty much hate him.
Right. At which point I will just sort of speak out loud again and say, regarding my seat, we probably should have informed you ourselves. Like, there aren't many quadrupedal species that are sentient out there. In fact, as far as I know, mine is the only one the Federation has encountered. So, the onus was on us, not
And this
your...
is... Yeah, go on, sorry.
That's
And this is... Yeah, that's... Okay, so this is where I'm gonna chime in and say, and clear my throat and say... Oh, but then, when you think about it, this makes Captain Kaval and you diplomats essentially on the same level when she's sitting down on the pillow, due to the height differences. Don't you think this is more appropriate for diplomatic meetings? If she was to sit on a chair, it would probably make her seem taller.
I don't know if those social roles should be counted as an assist or two separate roles, because you're arguing a different thing to me.
I'll just go with Harps right now. So, what would you say your? I'd say you're probably trying to reason.
Yeah.
Reason command.
I'm using logic rather than my presence, I suppose. I mean, presence is normally the thing you make to influence people, but at the same time,
you can use anything to influence people. Technically,
you can
take as you can even do stuff like control command, where it's
yeah. Oh, I understand that you can combine any discipline. That I just mean in this situation. But,
That one did sound like reason to me.
Yep.
Yeah, and then I suppose it would go with command because this is regarding protocol.
Mm-hmm.
Or is protocol security or command?
It's more sort of diplomatic protocol, so it's more diplomatic, more in the command division.
All right, so this is rolling under 13. Hey!
A
Yay.
9 and an 8. I'll give you an extra point of momentum for that.
And
make that-
my one?
Pardon?
Yeah, don't worry.
Okay.
Let's see how badly I screw up with my diplomatic attempt. You want me to roll anything for what I said?
Yes. what would you say would be appropriate to your rolling? Because
I have a feeling because it's more about trying to. It's not as much using reason. It's trying to persuade them. It's trying to like sweeten them up.
hey, look at this! Isn't this funny? Haha, kind of stuff.
It's like, yeah, wouldn't this be more
That would
appropriate?
be presence based.
I would have
Yep.
thought maybe it could have been an insight, like, I've just seen this thing about this situation. Makes sense, doesn't it?
Observational humor.
Yeah, I'm happy with both because they're equal.
Yeah,
So-
just go around.
Yeah,
And which discipline?
say I'll say command again.
Yeah, it's diplomacy.
Oh boy.
Would you like
Can
to
I
add
s-
or take away dice?
I will add a momentum or take away momentum,
Yeah.
which does what?
It means you get an additional dice to roll.
I'll
Okay,
put
because
that
I
back.
don't want to screw that up.
Right, so just roll.
15,
Yeah,
9,
Oh,
19.
But does empathy count?
I wouldn't say so.
Because I am trying to more like not address them, but appeal to them,
That is
to
true.
their situation.
I suppose you could if... Yeah, I'll say
literally
so. Because
It means I get
you
two
are-
successes instead of one.
Yeah, because you are saying, hey, situation's tense. Let's bring it down a step.
Yeah, like
Technically
we're on
speaking-
equal terms here, basically.
Technically speaking, diplomacy is actually one of my focuses, so would that have applied to my role?
Yeah, it would have.
In which case, we're sitting on 3 momentum now.
Cha-ching, baby.
Yeah,
this-
then
you
2, I guess.
So then that, yeah, I don't think that includes the one that Epps just spent.
Yeah. So you've got you do explain like your reasoning behind it and saying like the exarch says that is true. There's been many faux pas today, and seeing as you're so willing to brush it under the table, then we can start talking about what really matters, and that would
Indeed.
be potential membership to the Federation.
This is a meeting between 2 entire races. Minor mistakes from individuals can't be allowed to stand in the way of contact between entire civilizations.
She nods and says, "Very admirable, Captain. We will have to know what details you request for joining the Federation."
There's a fairly involved process towards membership of the Federation. The core of it is making sure that your people and your core ideals don't conflict with our own, and I'm sure they won't.
From what you have told me currently, they do not.
Beyond that, it is mostly diplomatic minutiae, form filling, red tape, if you will, but it is all entirely necessary to make sure that the transition is as smooth and goes with as little issue as possible.
Okay.
Of course, while we are here, we will do anything we can to explain the Federation and its values to you, and learn more about your culture in the process to ensure that this is the right move for both of us.
She nods and says, "Yes, our culture has recently risen out of dark times. We've completely transformed our society into what is the model now, and we base it off of equity and equality. We do not broker or tolerate any sort of injustices that are perceived against people or groups."
I assure you, the Federation has a legal system which is based on the legal processes, and not one but many of its member races that have essentially taken some of the best and most ethical components of all of these processes and created from it a way that treats victims and perpetrators fairly.
That is fair, so long as justice is properly served to those who have wronged us.
I should stress that our legal system has an emphasis on rehabilitating perpetrators of crimes above punishing them, though, of course, I would be lying if we said we didn't have internment facilities and prisons specifically for broken the law and punishing them.
That is.
I'm going to specifically try and read the Exarch's reaction to this. To what the captain is saying. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay, certainly that would be probably be an insight and. I could probably tie it to sort of security.
I'm sticking on what I was doing before, because I've got constantly watching. I'm just gonna keep doing that.
So you're gonna assist me? Yes.
Yeah. But it's more for the room what I'm doing than
okay.
just specifically one person. It's making sure no one's reaching for a weapon or
I'm always
ready to
watching.
do anything stupid.
Always
Always watching. it's what the talent's called, so.
Oh, I know. You got them in your sights. It's fine.
Yeah. Got you in my sights.
Oh no.
Oh, that's not the best.
That's no successes.
So 17 and 18.
Yeah. Wait, no, 16.
16.
Yeah.
Sorry.
3 over and then 4 over.
You can't really tell of any sort of like shifts or in the sort of mood of the room. However, as you do, the Exarch says, "Well, we'll be looking forward to making further dealings with your Federation. For now, I propose that we have a customary feast in your honor."
Oh, now this I can get behind.
We will be having it in a few. We will be having it in a few hours' time, and when it is fully prepared for you, as we did not expect.
Make sure to give you all the details on my crew's biology, just in the event that there's any kind of possible allergic reaction that may occur, but I highly doubt it will. You come from an M-class planet that is like many of our own.
Certainly, it would be you, and you are also free to roam about and explore, and speak to the people that make up our great species.
Of course, I look forward to meeting them. I just hope they aren't too intimidated by travellers from afar with the technology we possess, just coming to visit and speak to them.
We are a very accepting people.
Yeah, we're all people in the end.
Mm-hmm.
Very well then, thank you for this, and I'll be back as soon as you're ready.
I'll be back.
So the room is adjourned, and you do have some time to sort of wander around, take in a few sights, maybe like discuss things with each other, and dig a little deeper.
Okay then. I think one of the most important things for us to perform is a analysis of recent history of the species, because we've heard mention from the very first one we encountered face to face that his family have had troubles with a regime, and we've also learned that recently these justicars or justiciars or whatever they call them have come into power and have made some kind of grand societal reform. So it might be prudent to learn as covertly as possible about what society was like before they came into power, as well as the methods they used to come into power and how society has changed since.
Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on Commander Solek says, "Your thoughts on this species, Captain?"
I think they could stand to go a long way. I mean, at first glance, they might seem combative, aggressive with one another, but keep in mind that we had the very same feelings about the Andorians when they were first encountered, and I believe there's one of them holding down the fort back on the ship as we speak, so pays not to judge a book too harshly by its cover.
Yes, Lieutenant Sir Thoral.
Mm-hmm. That being said, we do need to be cautious. So, I believe a good place to start would be asking whether they have a library or similar building that records information. It's a very innocuous thing to ask, and if we can find one, we might be able to do some digging on their history.
Okay.
Certainly.